here's this child that they brought up the correct way.
Yeah.
And I just rebelled and rebelled and rebelled. And if you're not affiliated, they are extorting you. He's opening a window while you're looking through this wide open French door. God literally just started using me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Full Story Testimonies. Got a special guest with us today, and I want to start out with a big thank you. Thank you to anyone who's took interest in this podcast on different platforms, Facebook, YouTube. That's what we've got. We appreciate you guys. Big thank you to my editor, Nicholas Hart. He's really good at what he does. Y'all hit him up for anything you need. And one last big thank you to our guest today, Mr. Joey Hoffman. He seems like he's been a little bit everywhere, done a little bit of everything.
Yes, sir. And that's Coffman, by the way.
Oh.
It's all right.
Okay. I bet.
And thank you, Nicholas Hart, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Without good people behind you, you can't do the things that you do. You know?
I couldn't do it without him, for sure.
That's awesome.
He's super good. And if anybody is interested in booking Mr. Joey by the time this is over, Joey Coffman. Joey Coffman. Get a hold of me. Send me an email, fullstorytestimonies@gmail.com. Message me on Facebook, and I'll get a hold of him for you. If you know anybody that's interested in coming on and doing an episode, send me an email, get a hold of me on Facebook. And if you're ready, we'll jump right into it.
Cool, man.
All right. When, where, and how did you grow up? Who raised you?
All right, so I was born in Tennessee. Was there till about 4th grade, then raised in Kentucky, in Harlan. My dad didn't get saved until I think right before my brother was born, which is, he's 15 months older than me, so he was a new Christian. We were in a Southern Baptist church, and that's kind of how I grew up until he realized the implications of just continual fire and brimstone and things that were happening in the church he didn't agree with. That's not to say that fire and brimstone doesn't have its place.
Right.
Just he wasn't comfortable anymore, and if you're not comfortable, you got to find a church family that makes you comfortable.
Yep.
So we went to another place, and it was non-denominational, and so when we left there, like I said, we moved to Kentucky when I was in 4th grade. He moved to be a preacher. He owned a successful business. Was a good body man, one of the best in the Tri-Cities in Tennessee.
Yeah.
And moved up there to spread the word, man. And so I was raised right. I was raised by a good family. My mother's an angel. She was a hospice nurse.
Yeah.
If you know anything about hospice, it really takes somebody that has a passion and knows the Lord and is able to talk to people and let them know that, there is an afterlife for heaven and earth, and if you believe, your family is going to be there for you when you die, so raised by, I would say my dad's more of a teacher than a preacher, but still I was raised right.
Yeah. What do you think drew him to Harlan, Kentucky?
They needed somebody, and he wanted to start a church from scratch, basically.
Yeah.
He took a small church, and he taught. That's what he did, and he would bring in people, and we would have food, fun, and fellowships once a month to bring the community in and get to know people and just try to reach out. And from an early age, I even started. They have what's called Second Harvest back then. I was taught and brought up giving and helping and doing food baskets, and so that was always a part of my life, was serving. And it says in the Bible, who's the greatest in the kingdom? It's he says a servant. So a servant's heart is something I was raised as. So I was raised right.
Yeah. I guess you've been saved before.
I was saved early, about 8 years old. Got baptized when I was like 13. Mm-hmm. And then, even though God came into my life and I knew there was a God, by the time I was 17, I had seen how bad the church had hurt him, and I like personally, I was so judgmental on my father he was kind of hard on me. He saw his dad in me and was rough on me. So,
Okay.
you know, we'd pull into the church, he'd be fussing us, and then he'd go in teaching about how you don't put on faces to come to church. And as soon as we pulled in, he had a smile on his face. So I'm sitting there going, Dad, but look, you did this, you know.
Yeah.
And not at all did I think, you know, pastors are human.
Right.
They're dads, and
Yeah.
and they struggle just like anybody. And, you know, as a kid, I didn't give him that slack. I didn't receive much myself, so we butted heads a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was saved early. Um, Baptized early. I even went on what's called a chrysalis walk. It's kind of like an Emmaus walk. And way back then, you go on a camp for like 3 days, and you pray and you study, and you're with, you know, people you don't know, and by the end of the camp, you know, you're praising, and then you have people that's been in your life write you letters that just, man, it touches your heart to know that so many people love you and God moves, you know. So I knew God was real at an early age.
Felt him.
I definitely felt him.
Yeah.
I've seen many things. Dad used to preach on, you know, guest speak at other churches, and I would see, you know, the Spirit move, and I would see things happen. I would see answered prayers.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. You know, when you pray, to know, even if you don't hear the voice of God, you see what happens when God moves and people have faith.
It's funny how you can stand on the outside and watch it flow from breast to breast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were exposed to a lot of God.
A lot of it. I was in church, I kid you not, 5-6 days a week, doing something. I was always painting or weed eating or something, you know,
Okay.
building a steeple. You know, I was there always, and I, at an early age, started playing music. So we wouldn't have a set player, so I'd play set, and then my mom played piano, and I played piano. So when she would miss or had to go somewhere, I played and cover piano for her. And
What does play set mean?
set,
Yep.
drum set.
Oh.
Yeah, but
Right.
yeah, but it didn't sound like that when I was little.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you figure out you was pretty good? You was gonna be a pretty good musician, or you had a talent
Well,
for
I
it?
didn't know really I was going to be pretty good at all. I knew I had an ear for it when I was young. I got a long story about how I went into it, but I was 4, had been grounded, and I remember picking out a melody to Cheers. And every night me and my brother would go to bed, we'd hear Cheers. The theme song would come on because Mom and Dad are in there watching it.
Yeah.
Right. And one day I'm sitting at the piano and I pick it out, and just happened to, Mom's like, "Hey, Michael," that's my dad's name, Michael.
Okay.
"Come in here and listen to this." So at an early age I was playing, and by 10, 11 years old I was writing. So I was just blessed.
Huh.
God's always blessed me with that ear
Yeah.
and kind of the knowledge, having the family that was musical. My dad also played guitar,
Okay.
like Chad Atkins style, like dum, 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 real finger picking stuff.
Yeah.
So
Kind of bluegrass. deal,
yeah,
maybe.
kinda, yeah. So I was blessed, man. There was instruments around, and I had the opportunity to learn, and that was my outlet. God gave me that, and
Okay.
I used that a lot growing up.
Right.
So, I mean, I didn't really know I was going to be really successful at it. I ended up getting a scholarship, East Tennessee State University, full scholarship, and that was on French horn.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was in, back in the 1900s,
Right.
1997. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what did your teenage years look like?
So I rebelled, man.
Okay.
My dad would tell me this and that, and I mean, I was a good guy. I always
Right.
treated people right, but I was fornicating. I was smoking weed, just living my life, because I just didn't want any. I was forced into a lot of church all the time, and I say
Okay.
forced. It was because my parents were there all the time, and I was one of the kids, and we had to take care of it. So I was always there. So anytime I wasn't there, I was doing me.
Okay.
Just enjoying life as a kid,
Yeah.
which wasn't what God wants, for sure.
Mhm.
put me in some situations, but I mean, he's always had his hand on me. I mean, I had got my scholarship. I was, intelligent enough to not ever bring homework home. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it was, school wasn't an issue. It was, I just,
It was between school and church. That's when you found.
yeah,
Okay, I got you.
all the time.
Yeah. So where did you go to college at? You said.
East Tennessee State in Johnson City, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, I went from 97 to about 03.
Okay. 6 years.
Yeah, I had to take a little hiatus. I got caught with a pound of marijuana there, and at the school, and
That's a lot.
that's what I got charged with. So,
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
it went from 12 charges down to 3 with help from a lawyer from my grandma. That the Lord blessed me. Looking at decades of
Yeah.
time, I ended up with 3 years in probation, and then I cleaned up and did my time on probation and passed everything they asked me to do, and went from making a lot of money a week to $280 a week. It was quite the reality check.
Yeah.
So
Did you have a lot of temptation when you was making $280 a week?
a lot, but when you have family that stand up for you at that time, you don't. You make your mind up. This is what I'm gonna do. So but $280 a week is not a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's hard to go from thousands to nothing.
Yeah.
So, it's temptation's always there, man.
Yeah.
Especially now when you're doing right and you're living for God. If you're living right and you're doing what God wants, the devil's going to attack you. Period.
Yeah. It seems it's like if you're doing right with God, welcome to spiritual warfare.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why you got to stay in His Word, stand on His Word, because those are promises.
Yep.
And then, man, the devil can't touch you. And he comes, man, he's so sly. That's the word I like to use with it, because you think that he's doing one thing and literally comes in through the side door, and if you're not on top of it and praying and talking to God, and reading His Word and getting to know Him, He can get you, man, because I've been through it. And I played for a church in college, played for a long time. We had, man, it's like over 1,000 members, couple of services on Sundays, and I played piano and leg keys on them. And man, he attacked when I was doing right. Next thing you know, I've got these opportunities to do drugs when I didn't even. The drugs they were offering wasn't even something I did.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, here he is. And then he attacked the home life and the wife at the time, and it was hard.
So when you got busted in college, and you said you cleaned up and you did your 3 years. You got clean for 3 years.
Yeah, I was clean. I was clean for a bit. 3 years on probation. You got to pass drug test.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily mean I was clean, because I would have a blunt sitting in the car waiting on me as soon as I got out of probation office. So I just did what I was supposed to.
Yeah. You got clean enough to get through.
Yeah, I was still just not living right, man. Living for me. I wasn't worried about nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
I knew there was a God, but for me, it was, I had seen the hurt and pain. Like, all right, so my father, he left our church in Kentucky the year I left to go to college, and the church there had hurt him. Long story short, without explanation,
Right.
they were hurt and things happened that shouldn't have happened. So he got angry with the church and with God, and my brother lost a son at like 10 months old, and we all got angry at God.
Yeah.
And at that point in my life, I saw the father figure with depression get so bad that I was like, all right, so where's our God at?
Yeah.
Where's this God that's supposed to be taking care of us? And it was hard. So I didn't want to know Him at that point.
And this was at what time? In your life, I should say.
I would say it was my early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, very early 20s.
Yeah.
I would say 20, 21, maybe 22.
Mm.
And then,
So, would you say that that took you closer to where you needed to be, or farther away from where you needed to be?
the devil used it to push me further away.
Okay.
Um, again, I knew there was a God. I was just angry at him. And then,
Yeah.
you know, I had been married. I got married in 2001. And within a year, she was cheating on me. And that even, I'm sitting, why God, why, praying when I never pray. But he had a plan. It wasn't right, and I married young, and so I was angry a lot. I was an angry kid.
Yeah.
In my 20s, I was pretty upset, and it wasn't really. I didn't really straighten up with drug use because I had a back injury when I was young that hurt me pretty bad. It wasn't until about the time we got pregnant with my son in 2007 that I really cleaned up.
Okay.
And I mean, like, if you can imagine it, I did it, and I didn't care. I was just a functioning addict. I would work, but I would do what I thought was whatever made you feel good. That's what
Right.
people want. You want to feel good, right?
Yeah.
And be happy and forget about all the bad. So, you know, I had met a girl in 2003, 4, and she got pregnant, and we got married for the kid. Tried to make it work, tried to do the godly thing, and once we got pregnant, man, I cleaned up. Like it was over with.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop.
Cold turkey on everything.
Yeah, cold turkey
That's
on
awesome.
everything.
Yeah.
It was quite a ride. That one ended up, man. I don't know how personal I'm supposed to be in these.
However you want to be.
So she was manic depressive, bipolar, bulimic, a cutter, and borderline multi-personality.
Okay.
I didn't know she was that bad, and I believe she come off her birth control to kind of trap me because she knew I was going to leave her. After the kid was born, my son, my oldest, Caleb, she had tried to kill herself, and I used to have to hide all my knives, and then I took care of my son for a while by myself. And then I moved to a different part of Tennessee, got a new house, giving piano lessons, playing for the church, trying to do right. And
So, if you don't mind, why were you having to take care of your son by yourself?
she come off her meds and then tried to commit suicide and was in the mental hospital for a while.
Gotcha.
And then we made it work for a bit, and she got bad off her medicine again, and I wouldn't let her stay at the house. I would let her come and visit, and once she got back on her meds, she was good, and she came and visited during the holidays. And I mean, every kid needs a mom.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
They need both their parents in their life.
Yep.
They need sober, loving parents in their lives. You
Yeah.
know. Then about 5 months later, after I finally let her move back in, she come off her meds again, and the second time, she knew I wasn't gonna. She knew it was over with. Like I wasn't gonna have any more. Like I was done with the situation, and she took my son and went to a shelter, a women's shelter, and said that I was beating her and beating him. And I'd never laid hands on either of them. And one of the biggest reasons I was angry at God was because I'm in this big church, and my family don't know what to believe because I've been an addict, and they know my past, so there was a lot of lies told back then.
Yeah.
Right. When I called my pastor up and I heard the tone in his voice, like I had actually done something, it broke my heart. And then I didn't know where my son was for a couple weeks, and I all my knives hidden at the house. Took them all out. Made sure there wasn't nothing there that she could cut herself with, and I didn't have any guns or nothing, but I had 357 shells. Yeah. And I took 32 2-milligram Klonopins one night, drank a half a fifth of 101 turkey, somehow rode a bike down to this pawn shop. And I'm going to tell you how good God is and how he works. These 2 357 shells, I went into this pawn shop and broke in, was going to blow my head off. Like, I was done, right? It's the one pawn shop in all of the Tri-Cities that didn't sell guns. You understand?
Yes, sir.
So when I was leaving, cop showed up. So they get me for attempted theft, even though I wasn't trying to steal nothing. And burglary other than habitation. So I ended up doing time over that. I got 5 years. So, yeah, man, that was... I was angry. I was angry at everybody. I was angry at her. I was angry at my parents for not supporting me in whatever kind of way at the time I thought they needed to support me. You know, when you're young, you think you know everything, and I wasn't taking any responsibility whatsoever.
Okay.
It was just me mad at everybody.
You mad at your pastor too?
I was mad at my pastor. I had friends at the church when I caught that charge, because I was part of the praise team.
Yeah.
Arranged music for him and all that, and one of my good friends, man, he wouldn't answer a call, a letter, no nothing the whole time. My parents wouldn't answer a letter. They were angry and upset, you know. Here's this child that they brought up the correct way. Yeah. And I just rebelled and would not do it. I refused to let God in. I was going to do it on my own, and you see where that brings me, you know. So while I'm there, I don't even search after God. But God's still such a blessing, because one of the guys there led a Greek and Hebrew Bible study, and I used to go in and play the piano, and he heard me play one day, and he was like, "Do you mind to come in and lead worship?" It's like, okay. So I started leading worship for him. He happened to be in my pod. And I convinced him to let me borrow his guitar.
A small world.
So he let me borrow his guitar. I had a guitar myself for 3 years while I was there, and learned how to play. God's given me that gift, so I was able to learn and just listen to TV, and whatever they played, I would figure it out, you know. So he was grooming me the whole time, right? I'm sitting in prison one day, just so angry and so mad at the world, at my parents, at my ex. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? This woman's probably not even thinking of me right now. And yet I'm sitting in here so mad and angry, and I'm giving attitude to people because I think that she's done something, whether it was right or wrong. She still has that control over me. So I prayed, and I was like, all right, Lord, lift this burden off of me. I'm going to let it go. And I decided then and there not to be angry anymore at any of them, because if I continued to follow in that anger, it would only get me in worse situation, especially in prison. So that's when I finally let go of the anger. And I mean, like, I might be 31, 32, and that's really, I was a mad kid until then.
So you had anger from what, if I'm remembering right, first time you experienced anger was parking lot at the church when your dad's fussing at you?
Yeah, I was an angry kid, and like, they used to whoop me and I wouldn't care, you know. Like, I was one of those where they finally figured out that didn't matter, and they would ground me, and then found out that didn't really matter. Like, no matter what it was, I was just, for whatever reason, upset. And
strong-willed about it too, apparently.
Oh, I'm a stubborn man.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother and my father are pretty stubborn, and I get both of those. But yeah, once my mind's made up, you know, people say that Tauruses are stubborn. I don't know. I'm a Taurus, but regardless, I'm stubborn. Yeah. I'm one of those guys, when it's made up, whether it's right or wrong, it's made up. So anger was an issue for a long time. And, you know, when I got out, the Lord blessed me, man. Like, I was in 4 years, and I broke my ankle. I broke my ankle the day I'd left, and I happened to get a test back to where I could get my 60 days. They tried to take 60 days good credit from me, and even though I've been to college, I went and took the GED test because they moved me from the main compound to the annex, and they wouldn't transfer my credits, and I had to do 60 more days. And I'm like, okay, watch this. And I went down and took the pre-GED, and this lady's like, you sure you haven't had any education? I'm like, listen, y'all are taking my time. She goes, well, you can get in trouble. I said, what are you going to do? I'm in prison. You can give me more time? You're taking my time. So I took the test, and when the test came back that morning, I broke my ankle. Sergeant come in the infirmary and it's like, he's got to go. He ain't even supposed to be here. So they sent me to Jackson bus station. I was at Northwest, which is in Tiptonville, Tennessee. It's way out west. And I'm from Johnson City, which if you're looking on the map, way out east, right? So they take me to the bus station in Jackson, and he drops me off. It's like 1 o'clock. No buses until 5 a.m. the next morning. So I call 911. I get a ride to the hospital, and I'm like, listen, check it out. And they x-rayed it. I broke my ankle. I said, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a place to stay. I got a bus ticket, just got out of prison. If you can let me sleep for the night, I'll leave as soon as, 4 a.m. I got to be there at 5. Man, they fed me. They let me stay. They bought me a cab to get down there. You know what I mean? I get out of prison. I go to a homeless shelter there in Johnson City. And the first day I'm there, I walk down to it's 3.5 miles. I walk with this cast on 3.5 miles to the temp to hire place, right? Get a job, working within 3 or 4 days. I had talked to one of my friends on Facebook at the library, which is really like literally next door. His name's Simeon Jackson. And back in the day in college, me and him used to party and, do whatever and enjoy each other's company and smoke and jam music. And, well, he's leading worship at his church and a pastor.
Yeah. And
he had wrote some songs, and I let him know I was out and what's going on. I knew his brother owned a construction company, and I was like reaching out to him. Well, come to find out, literally, he knew I needed money for a license, and we had met for lunch after like 5 or 6 days. After lunch, he hands me a card, and it's like, in the card it says, here's the money for your license, because he had asked me how much. He gave me the exact amount of money for my license. So I had the guys at the homeless shelter take me up the next day, called into work. Look, I'm going to be late. I got to go get my license. Went up there, got my license. About 4 days later, he had called me, or I called him, either way. I'm talking to him. He's like, so how you doing? I said, well, I got a job. It went from the temp place to actually working for the guy, and I'm leading crews. And he was like, that's awesome, man. He's like, why don't you meet me tomorrow? I said, oh, yeah? He's like, yeah, meet me tomorrow. That's how good God is, man. He's always just had me. The very next day when I meet him, he has me meet him off this exit at a little Kroger's. And I pull up, and he's leaning against this Dodge Intrepid. And I'm like, so what's up, man? He goes, well, since you spent the money like I asked you to for your license, I just wanted to give you this car. And handed me keys to a car, bro. Do you understand how blessed I've been?
So let's circle back to this man right here. First experience with him was?
In college, back in the early 90s. And now we're talking 2013 when I was out of prison.
Okay,
so it's been 10 years since I've talked to him.
Yeah.
I knew his brother owned a company, and I was, talking to him, hey, can you get me a job? Trying to find any kind of work, right? Because now I'm a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll try. Well, next thing you know, he's blessed me. I mean, completely blessed me with a license and blessed me with a car. Amen. Once I got that car, I'm running crews for the company, right? One of the guys that worked there is like, hey, man, I got a full basement that I need to rent out.
Yeah.
You want to rent it? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I mean, within 3 weeks of getting out of prison, I've got a full-time job, a license paid for, a car, and a place.
Yeah.
And I had nothing. And I still got a broke ankle. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, God has blessed me. So even when I don't search for him and look for him, he's always had my back. Always. And it's literally been, I'm pushing him away the whole time, and all he's doing is trying to take care of me and groom me for the things to come.
Why do you think you were pushing him away?
I was angry, man. I was angry because I lost a nephew. I was angry because the church hurt my dad, and he was such a great guy.
And the church hurt you too.
They hurt me. My church that I played for hurt me. I didn't, friends are supposed to be, and Christians especially, you would think would be there when people go wrong and steer wrong and try to guide you and comfort you and support you, right? And that didn't happen. And, I may have done some wrong things, and the charge was what it was when I caught that burglary charge. But still, I should have had friends, and it embarrassed my people, right? And I get that. It's very embarrassing when you've got a kid that you've raised right, and he's out here just doing whatever, making your name bad. So I get it. At the same time, it was hard, and I should have turned to God then, but I didn't. I was just angry, angry at my ex, and we went through that. So I had that for a while, and here's God showing me. He's showing me that I got you, son.
Yeah.
I got you. And I stayed sober from that moment until around 2018, 2019.
Okay.
I ended up getting a job with that guy's brother.
5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I worked there until I got hurt, and I started my company in 2016.
Okay. So you got hurt while you was working for...
Yeah.
You decided to start your own?
They let me go. They gave me 2 months severance pay and vacation pay and all that, and even subcontracted some of the jobs to me. But, I'm walking around with a cane on job sites going to a machine, and I was hurt, and I'm a liability, so I get it.
Right.
At the same time, it was rough. And in 2016, I had met through my friend's wife that I was renting an apartment from, or the basement.
Yeah.
His wife, I had met a woman, and we lived together, never got married, but called each other husband and wife. And we ended up having a kid in 2016. My youngest, name's Roman Finch Coffman. Such a blessing, yeah. I'm blessed, man. 2 wonderful kids. You mind if we take a break so
That's
I can
fine.
get up for a minute and walk around? So, in 2016, I was hurt. I was walking around the job site with a cane.
Yep.
Going to run a machine or whatever. I'm hobbling, so I was a liability. So these guys let me go. They gave me severance pay. They gave me 2 months severance pay with vacation, and then started subcontracting jobs for me. So the Lord still opened doors the whole time, right? I got full custody of the son that I was accused of beating.
Praise God.
Yeah, I had read all the laws on how to get that done. So I had written up all the motions and brought that to a lawyer, paid her $500 with my ex-wife's signature on it, because I promised her I wouldn't come after child support and I wouldn't drug test her.
So how did you read up on all these laws?
Well, they have a law library in the pen, so
Okay.
if you want to educate yourself, why are you going to sit with time and not do something to, So I worked out and I educated myself and I learned guitar, you know what I mean?
I had a real funky view. I'm just...
That's all right. You fix what you got to fix, brother.
That's close enough. All right, cool. Sorry
So
about
I learned what I could, I'm not the smartest guy, but I wouldn't say I'm the dumbest either. So me and the wife, which we called each other husband and wife, but we didn't legally get married for tax reasons.
Okay.
We had just had a son, and I just got hurt, and they just let me go. So I started my business. Well, I got full custody of my son, and she had a daughter that was the same age as my son, and they fought all the time. And I'm sure some people can relate. My ex started treating my son so bad, and I didn't really know it and see it. Like, sometimes I'd come home and I'd see him in his room by himself, not playing with nothing. I'd build a room for him, had to make an addition, and I could hear sometimes on the phone how she would treat him, and I could hear them arguing and how she would. I mean, it was just it broke my heart how bad that she was treating my kid. And one day they go to school. All right, well, one day they go to school. He wakes up. He had been. She keeps the back door open because she worked for an animal shelter, so we had dogs in and out. And at the time, she thought she needed 5 pigs, so we had pigs that would come in and out of the house. So the door was always open. One day, he got, I don't know, sprayed, I guess is the term, from a skunk. And she made him go to school. Imagine as a fourth grader, you go to school reeking.
So he was young when this was going on.
And then not too long after that, him and Ayla, her daughter, went to school smelling like weed. And I didn't do any drugs at the time. I was clean. I drank at night.
Right.
I was, trying to run a business and hurt. So she would be riding down the road with, a weed bowl, and that was a constant. So they go to school smelling like weed, and we both have to go to court for it. And do whatever the judge says and blah, 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 and follow the rules. And I fuss her real good. And, I'm working literally 70, 80 hours a week, plus doing bids, trying to make dinner in the mornings in a crock pot or something so we have dinner at night, just to have a meal for the family. And I always made sure I was home and there for dinners and make sure they showered and did homework together. Like I enjoyed my family. But I could tell my son was miserable, and I kept seeing signs that he was not being treated correct, and it broke my heart. And then one day, I'd had him, I don't know, maybe 6 months. I get a phone call that my ex-wife would get to see my son in the partial custody every other weekend, and she's supposed to have him home by 7 on Sundays. Her and my current, not wife, but what I call wife, had gotten in an argument, and my ex-wife, my son's mother, took off with him, and she called the law, and they put out an Amber Alert. And I'm like, what are you doing? Don't call the law. And I took off. I knew where they were going, and I wasn't far from where she would be. And I ended up catching up with them when the state police had them pulled over. And there was like 8 cars there, man. And I walk up, and I'm like, I'm the father. Turn your lights off. All y'all can go but one of you. Who's in charge?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need a scene. I don't need my son to be traumatized. And he was. I mean, he had done been through a lot. So I told Jamie, that was my ex-wife, Caleb's mother. I told her, I said, listen, take him. I'll give you a call. Just take him and let me go home, and I'll handle whatever situation that was. And I think at that point, when I gave him up, that's when I started taking pills and Xanaxes to try to numb the crap that I wasn't able to control while I was there.
So when you said you had told the child's mother, take him on, I'll fix this situation. When was the next time you seen your...
I haven't. That was the last time I'd seen him, was in that cop car. Well, her car with the cops there. It's been 7, 8 years now. Still not seen him. Don't get to talk to him. But I've given that to God, and he's a grown man now, so he may not ever understand why I let him go, but I couldn't continue to let him stay knowing that he was being hurt and not being nurtured the way he was supposed to be. And I treated her daughter like my own, and I didn't understand why she couldn't do the same. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And some people are just, I don't know, she wasn't raised the way I was, so she didn't understand, and she was an atheist. And here I'm trying not to live for God, even though I know there's a God, But that was the best thing that happened for him, because, even she couldn't keep him because she was, under mental stress and still under drug addiction. So he ended up getting adopted by a family, and they actually took him and instead of a foster kid, made him their kid,
Okay.
and legally was bonded by him, not as a foster, but for them. So
Yeah.
um, he's at Tennessee Tech now, man. Got a scholarship, engineering, doing great. So, even though it hurt me, and I feel like I should have done more, and I probably should have, I can't change it. And as much as I let that affect a lot of what had happened in my life, there came a point where I had to let it go and give it to God, and that's where I'm at. He's still loved, and one day he'll hopefully want to talk to me, And if not, I know God's got him. I pray for him by name every day.
Me and you, we don't know each other very well, but I know you well enough that when you give it to God, that's the end of it.
That is absolutely the end of it.
Yeah.
When you give it to God, you got to let go of your emotion. You got to let go of the control that you desperately want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's absolutely the hardest thing to do. If you can't say, I give it to you, God, and then stress and fuss and cuss about it, because it's God's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who are you to say God's doing something wrong? You don't know what he's doing. You know what I mean? You don't know what he's got planned, and all of it's in his purpose. So how am I going to, how does that affect or change anything if I'm still upset? That's not giving it to him.
No.
To completely surrender any situation to God, you got to let all of it go. And it is a hard thing to do, but I mean, through prayer and the Bible and talking to Jesus, man, that's, you're told to, and you got to trust him. So, I did my business and I continued my business, but me and her started arguing a lot, and I had issues with her smoking weed in front of my youngest. We had a son. And that boy, I was trying to do better by him, and I knew my son was taken care of, my oldest.
Yep.
But I was self-medicating because I had back issues. Like I said, I was hurt, so I was taking medicine and doing, I was working for myself now, so I didn't have to worry about drug tests. But I would self-medicate. I would take pain meds, and then I would drink at night to the point where, I'd pass out because I was in so much pain. I had to have something, get 2-3 hours of sleep and get up and do it again.
Yeah.
It was a rough time. Long story short, with me and her, I ended up leaving over some circumstances, and 2016, when that happened, I wasn't supposed to be driving. I was on a restricted license, and they had seized an F-350 that I had, dually flatbed, because I got pulled over. One of the homeowners I was working for let me borrow his truck.
Yep.
And for about 2 weeks, I used his truck. He's like, use it. I'll call you when I need it, And one day he calls me at 11 in the morning. It's like, I need it by 1. And I'm on a job deadline that day with a machine on rental and 2 guys. And I'm like, listen, I'll get it to you as soon as I can. He's like, no, I need it by 1. I'm like, I will be there as soon as I can. I turned my phone off and threw it in the truck. And I went and finished my job.
Yep.
Went home that night, cleaned the truck up, made sure it was nice and neat. And about a mile from his house in the pouring rain, I hydroplaned and split the truck in half and totaled it. Caught a 3-year charge on that. I pled guilty to theft over 500, even though it was joyriding, and it should have been,
The truck?
The truck that he let me borrow.
But you had it past 1, so it was...
I couldn't hear you.
You had it past 1 p.m. when he told you to have it back. So
I had it until, that qualified as stealing. But I signed it. I was like, I can do 3 years probation, no worries. And I was 2.5 years in on that when I come home one day and there was a truck in the driveway and a man in the house, and I left. hard time said I had to go because I was going to do something stupid. So my little boy actually saved me. My little 3-year-old come in and got me out of a trance when I was going to really do something stupid.
You told me this on the phone. You can tell the story, or we can skip right over it. Either one. All up to you.
Well, I I come home and he's in my robe, naked, in the bed with my wife, or current, whatever you
At
want
the
to
time.
call her. Yeah, and I was going to end their life. And my little boy come in and took me out of that little trance, man. And I, the next day, literally called a contractor that Hurricane Michael had hit in Panama City Beach. That was 2018, I guess, because it was 2019 when I went down, like January 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I called my PO, and I was 2.5 years in on this probation. And I called him, and I'm like, listen, this is Joey. I'm going to be at this address. I gave him the address. I'm going to be in Florida. I got to go. I caught her messing around, and I have to go. He was like, well, you need to come sign this paperwork. And me being me, stubborn and just who I am, I was like, this isn't a permission call. This is a courtesy call.
I'm letting you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, when I call you, you better come back. Well, he called me 6 months later to come sign and finish because I would have been done. And I was like, I ain't coming back.
Okay.
Not happening. And I ended up going to prison over that. That's what I just got out on.
Okay.
Um,
When did you get out?
I got out November 20th of this past year.
Okay.
So I've been out, 5-6 months now.
So
7 months.
You've been to 5 or 6 different prisons.
I've been to 3 different prisons.
Okay.
I've been to jails in 5 or 6 different states.
And from what you've told me, I believe, never been affiliated.
No, I didn't ever affiliate. I never got down with Nation or War or Brotherhood or even GDs or Crips or none of that, which was a very hard thing for you don't go to prison by yourself.
What would happen to non-affiliated white boys where
So-
you were?
I think I was kind of blessed. I was most certainly blessed. But the first time I really didn't have to deal with it. It was a lot different. I went to prison for that burglary charge. It wasn't that bad. I learned to tattoo, which is why I'm covered.
Yeah.
To make ends meet. Like I said, I didn't get money, so I was smart enough to make food, and make sure I ate right. But it wasn't that rough. When I went to prison in Louisiana, now that was different. I was fighting every single day, and I
Okay.
mean 2-3 at a time, every day. Got cut, got shivved. I mean, it was like you were fighting every day. When I went to prison, all right, so kind of fast forward,
Go ahead.
I worked Hurricane Michael
Yep.
in 19. I stayed gone working different hurricanes all the way to Lake Charles, Louisiana. Up until 23, I had a back surgery, and I was in Baton Rouge. I went down to Tulane, had a back surgery in 2023 in June. And skipping over a lot of self-medicating and finally deciding to sober up, even without God. Ended up coming home. After my back surgery, I was able to go to Florida and work for 6-7 weeks. And I bought a motorcycle the day before I left and come home, and I'm so blessed. My little boy is now 10.
Yep.
At the time he was about 7. And he calls me. I told him I was coming in, and I was blessed. I was able to talk to him on Messenger, FaceTime and all that.
Right.
And he still wanted to be in my life always. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess he seen the character or needed a father,
Right.
So he's like, Dad, can you ride your bike? Because he knew I was home. And I'm like, yeah, I ride the bike. I just bought it the day before. I had title in my pocket, and I'm like, if I get pulled over, whatever. And I thought I might have a warrant, but it never showed up. Like, I'd been to jail in a couple other places, been to prison in Louisiana, never showed up. They never showed a warrant for Tennessee for not doing the probation I was supposed to do, right? They never did anything. Well, I got to spend 2 hours with my kid. It was a great time, and I left, and I don't know if she called the law or they just heard it and saw it without a tag on it or what, but I got pulled over, and I could see the hotel from where I'm at. And I'm on a Yamaha YZX R6, like in the mountains. You're not going to catch me. I didn't have to pull over. But all I could hear was, how can you show your son to be a man if you're not one? Right? So right then I said, all right, God, I'm going to give it to you. They said, you got a warrant. All right. I said, listen, I just bought this bike yesterday, and I showed them the title and the signatures from the day before. I said, I've got 2 workers in that hotel right there. You can see it. I said, do you mind if one of them come pick this bike up? And he was like, since you didn't run, have them come pick it up. So this is how good my God is.
Dallas.
I go to prison. I think I'm going to get out. And they repeat this to me. I didn't think they'd write this down, but when I went up for parole, and I'm should be eligible because I'm a nonviolent offender and I'm doing everything right, passing all the drug screens and all that.
I'm going to interrupt you real quick. When was this that you got busted side of the road with a motorcycle? When was that?
October 10th, 2023.
2023.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're going about things different than you used to before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was sober. I wasn't doing any kind of drug. Even when I had the back surgery, I didn't take all my pain meds. Like I was tired of it, man. I had been self-medicating my whole life.
Yeah.
It's like I'm done. I'm tired of living this way. You know, I'm in and out of prisons. So I'm thinking, God, I know God. Lord, I know you can get me out of this. You're a good God. Please get me out of this, right?
Yeah.
And people say, well, you know, sometimes God doesn't answer prayers. You know, God doesn't answer prayers sometimes because he has a bigger plan for you.
Yep.
So the whole time I'm praying, Lord Jesus, please get me out of this. You know I'll get out and I'll work, and I'm not on dope, and I'll do right, and I'm here for my son, you know. And he let the guys pick my bike up, and the whole time I'm getting ready to go up to court, and I'm like, oh, they'll let me out, reinstate my probation or something. No, they send me to prison. Of course, why would they let me out? I told them to F off, you know what I mean? Like I was like, yeah. And then when I went up for parole, they repeated it. Didn't you tell your parole officer this is not a permission call? This is a courtesy call. Back in 2019.
4 years.
Okay. And the original charge is 2016, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a completely different man now than I am then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm praying, God, get me out of this. And he doesn't answer my prayer. So I'm mad again. Like, all right, I'm in prison. I go up for parole, and they're telling me no. And, of course, why would you let me out? I've done run on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, no, I'm not coming back. So I obviously abscond and don't care about what you say. So I always had an issue with authority figures. So I'm sitting in prison, man, and this is the worst prison in the state of Tennessee, one of the top 10 worst prisons in the country. If you're not affiliated, they are extorting you. They are med-flighting you if you don't give them what you want. This prison is so bad. The Department of Justice ended up coming in and having to take it over. There was a big riot and blah, blah, blah. It was really bad.
When you say med-flighting, does that sound as bad as it is?
It's exactly as bad as it is. Like, they were barely hanging on to life to get out of there. They brought in a helicopter and would med-flight you out.
Okay, cool.
That's
where
bad.
You're going, non-affiliated?
Non-affiliated.
Cool.
So I'm not protected. If you're not a part of the white gangs or the black gangs or the Mexican gangs, it doesn't matter what color. If you're not a part of a family affiliation of a gang, then you're unprotected.
Yeah.
And they are whooping you. They are doing and saying and taking. And, man, they were hog-tying white boys that weren't affiliated, hiding them under the bunk. If there was a count, these guys weren't even counting the COs, which is correction officers. It was bad. And then they would know your people had money, so they'd call your people and extort you for money so you wouldn't get killed, because they were showing that they would do it because they were med-flighting white boys out of there all the time.
Did you know this when you were going in?
Not at all. And this is a completely different situation from the first time I went in. Now, I knew it was getting bad when I was in Louisiana because I was fighting all the time. And I've always had to throw hands, which is, protect yourself. This is the one time I've been to any jail or prison I didn't have to lay hands on anybody. God had me the whole time.
Praise God.
And I didn't at all. Even the first 8-9 months there, I was just, Lord, get me out of here. Lord, get me out of here. Get me out of here. I'll tell you how good my God is. Okay.
Tell us.
So, I'm a musician.
Yep.
Music is my heart and soul, and I've played my whole life. Scholarships to school and blah, blah, blah. I hadn't touched it since that church back in, that was like 2009. So, fast forward to 2013. What's that? 2000. It was actually 24 when I started playing again, but 15 years, right?
Yeah.
15 years since I had touched any kind of instrument, really. Man, I'm sitting in the cell one day and I'm like, God, I really need an instrument. I need to find a guitar or something to get in the cell like I had the first time I was down, right? That's just a real meditation and get right for me. That's what I turn to always in my life. I go to the church one day, and true story, this dude, the guy that was running it, was a child molester, and I looked his charge up. He was the piano player. I had looked him up like 5 months before the holidays, and the holidays are hard when you got kids out there, man. I don't care how much you get to affiliate with your people, it's really hard on you. So I was depressed, and I wasn't going to play with a guy that had, raped his daughter or whatever his allegations were and charged with. And I'm reading the Bible one day because I'm just so depressed. And it's telling me how my sin is no better than your sin, is no better than his sin, and who am I to judge? How can I tell you have a splinter in your eye when I have a plank in mine? You know what I mean? Like,
You're right.
It hit home with me. Who am I to judge this guy? God's using him, apparently. God forgives any. Like, how am I supposed to not forgive him when I'm supposed to be Christ-like?
Yeah.
Right? So I gave it to God. I was like, okay, and Jesus, please, Lord, find me a way to play. So I went down to the church, the chapel, and I was given the opportunity to play piano for them to see if they needed to back up at some of the other services, because they had a lot of services. And while we're sitting there, one of the guitarists is playing, and I'm listening to him. I'm like, hold on, let me see that. I'm trying to play the lick he was playing. Well, the chaplain was singing in another room. I grab his guitar and I pick right up, and he's still singing. And then the chaplain walks in and realizes it's me playing guitar, and he's like, that was you? I was like, yeah. He said, ain't you here to play piano? He said, oh, no. We need a guitar player. You're playing guitar.
Yeah.
So I started playing guitar, and I'm telling you, a week later, he hands me a guitar and says, here, take this with you.
And this was in prison?
In prison.
Yeah.
Hands me a guitar,
Yeah.
take to my cell, so I have a guitar in my cell. And I just prayed it.
Yeah.
So, one of the things that chaplain aides get to do is during count, when everybody's supposed to be in their cells, you have an out count. So, chaplain's aides get to stay at the chapel. I wasn't even a chapel aide. This guy would let me stay, so I wouldn't have to be stuck in my cell by myself. And I got to play music, and I got to write, and I got to arrange, and the Lord used me to play for all these services.
Yeah.
I got to meet people in all these functions, and like God literally just started using me. And man, that same unanswered prayer where I'm saying, God, get me out of here, when he wouldn't do it, and I was so mad. I'm sitting in my cell one day, and I kid you not, when I really realized, I'm sitting, I'm going, God, I'm done fighting with you. And I had that conversation. I didn't know how to pray. It had been so long.
Okay.
I'm like, God, I'm done fighting you. I know you're real. If this is where you're going to put me to get my attention, then so be it. I'm done fighting. I'm going to live for you. And that's when he gave me the guitar, and he started letting me play, and it started keeping me out of my cell. And I kid you not, man, like, next thing you know, here I am playing, and I'm sitting in my cell one day, and that same unanswered prayer I'm telling you about, that where God won't get me out of here, I'm sitting praying And the only way I knew how to pray at the time was talk to him like a friend, because I didn't. I mean, I had words, but they wouldn't come out right. You know what I mean? Like, some people are good at it. I wasn't. Even though I've been raised in it. But I just started talking to him like he was my best friend. God, this is what's going on. I don't understand this. Help me with it. And that turned into actually being intimate and having that relationship, which is also, every morning I would sit for an hour and I'd read and I would pray.
Yep.
And I would have conversations and thanking for my blessings. And I'm sitting in my cell one day and I'm praying, and then I thank God for putting me in this prison, this worst prison in the state of Tennessee, where people are getting, white boys like me, unaffiliated, getting beaten, getting extorted, and I didn't have one touch on me, not one even threat of my life. Yep. God had his hand on me the whole time. And I thank him for being in this prison. I never thought in a million years I'd do that, right?
Yeah.
And here I'm thanking him. I'm like, well, God, you definitely got me, So I get out of prison. I'm released. I did all my time. And my mom and dad come pick me up. We started having a relationship again. And me and my parents had not had one. I hadn't seen them in like 5 years. And they had knew what was going on, but they had heard things before and never seen the actions behind it. You know what I mean? Like, I would tell them one thing and do another.
Right.
Well, they picked me up. I've got a job lined up with the same contractor. Get this. Has still got my motorcycle. Still got this same cell phone. Got money. Got my guitar.
Yes,
with the same strings I put on. Listen, I had never gotten out with a thing in my life. In here I got a motorcycle, a phone, money, a guitar. Got a job lined up with him, right?
What was different? What was the denominator that made it different than the last time?
The difference was I gave it to God.
Yes,
and
sir.
Most certainly when you put your faith in him, that was it. Like, he kept blessing me. He knew where my heart was. And he was working on me the whole time. As long as I fought him, I could tell you story after story. I got hit on my motorcycle in Jacksonville doing 70. Lady bounced me off a truck.
Nice.
Should have killed me.
Yep.
God had his hand on me the whole time. And here I'm fighting him every single day. Fighting him. And all he wanted to do was love me. Yep. All he wanted to do was have that relationship. And I'm sitting in prison telling these guys, like, they call it prison religion. You get, that jailhouse religion. Listen, if you don't have a relationship with God outside of jail, and that's the only place that you have it, guess where he's going to put you? Because he wants that relationship.
Yeah. So
expect to go right back if that's the only place you're going to get to know him. Because that's what he wants. He wants to know. We're his kids, man.
Yeah.
How much do you love your kids?
A lot.
So God takes care of the birds, right? And feeds them. So how much more does he love us, right? That's what it says, yeah? So if you love your kids that much, imagine how much he loves us. And the whole time he's trying to groom us. So all these things I've done in my life, from selling weed and getting caught to fighting God, to even living right and being a good man, didn't matter.
No.
God was grooming me to be in the situation I am in now. Oh, you want to know where I'm at now?
Yeah. What does life for Joey Coffman look like now?
So I get out of prison. I got this job lined up because I think I've got to take care of it myself. And I was praying. I've got a
motorcycle, phone.
Got my motorcycle, my phone. I've got some money. I've got my guitar. Right?
And a job.
And I've got a job and a place to stay on dude's property, and he's going to let me drive his truck. All right? I go back with mom and dad to Corbin, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Way far away from my kid. Now, my son still wants me in his life, and I've been talking to him. And I'm blessed for that. Okay. No man can be more blessed than having a kid that you've barely seen still want you and yearn for a father. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So every day I wake up knowing I'm blessed with that. So my mom and dad take me to a church, and I've been hurt by a big church. Yeah. Well, they take me to a big church where they attend, Grace on the Hill in Corbin, Kentucky. And man, these people were just so inviting.
Okay.
And I had this, like, Mom, listen, I don't know if I'm going to be good with a big church because it makes it impersonal. People don't really know it. Man, so many people come up and introduce, and then, like, the next time I'm there, hollering at me like they knew me, like I'm their best friend, you know? Like, and they know my past. My mom and dad had their prayer warriors praying for me the whole time. Don't think for a second that it was just me. No, prayer and the grace of God got me where I'm at. So after about a week and a half, they said I could stay through the holidays because I got out November 20th.
Yeah.
I stayed through Thanksgiving, and we had a death in the family, and they're like, okay, you can stay through Christmas, and we'll figure it out. And the whole time I'm waiting to go work for this guy, and it's winter, and I do outside work. I hardscape company, so I was doing paper patios and retaining walls and all that. So Mom and Dad are like, listen, if you want to stay, because they seen me worship and pray, and they seen the good things happening, and they saw it was real. Yeah. I started volunteering everywhere I could. Like, if you're going to be a part of a church, serve. You know what I mean? And it was always embedded in me as a kid. Like I said, Second Harvest Food Bank, when I was young, it made me happy to help people. It was almost selfish of me how happy it made me.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's how it felt. But that's what God wants from us. They want us to make relationships and be able to serve others they can, you know, and don't have the means to do, you know. So we step up and we do that. So they see me making these efforts, and I had a little money, so the first thing I did was pay off a license, reinstatement fee, almost $1,000, you know, and it's almost all my money, but I wanted to make sure I was legal, right? So Mom and Dad are like, listen, we'll take care of you. We'll let you stay at the house, rent-free. Figure it out. And I've got back issues. I got hurt while I was in prison, so I had more back issues. Yeah. Needed a knee replacement, which I just had a month ago. They're like, you can stay. We'll take care of you. If you need anything at all, we got you. Food's on us. Rent's on us.
Yeah.
And while I'm at the church, I meet this guy, Luke Osborne, who happens to be one of my best friends now, besides one of my really good best friends, Bridget. The Lord puts on my heart, Luke is the youth pastor at our church.
Okay.
He puts on my heart, hey man, maybe you should go talk to the youth, and maybe you can be useful there. So I asked Luke to lunch one day. He's like, sure. And I'm getting ready to ask him if he needs any help with music or any of that for the youth. And he's like, listen, I was wondering, before I even mentioned it, he was like, I was wondering if you might be interested in help us with the music. I've been praying for somebody to come in. I mean, it was like on both of us, we were like, oh yeah, well, okay, well, that's a given. Now I help lead the worship for the youth. I'm a backup piano and guitar player for the main service, which I've done several times. God's using my talent there, and I get to play with this real talented young kid, Dalton Daly. I play with him all the time. I'm blessed to be able to do the things that I'm doing, and he's using my gift with music in places I didn't even think. And even when I go play, that's, you know, secular or out in a bar or whatever, I'm talking to people about Jesus, man.
Yes, sir.
Like, hey man, how are you? You should come to our church. You know what I mean? Like, it's really cool. You should check us out. I play up here. Come on. Yeah. You know, so God's using me, man. And the whole time, that's all he wanted. And every single thing that the devil meant for bad, God has turned for good. Amen. And I keep my faith in that every day. And every single day I wake up, I have a list of names. I got a list next to my bed of names that I pray for by name every day. Yeah. And God tells us. He knows what we want, right? He tells us to ask. So if we don't ask, how are we going to get mad at him or expect him to do things in our life, right? Yeah. So we have to ask him. And then it may not be the way we see it because it says not to our understanding. He's opening a window while you're looking through this wide open French door, you know what I mean? And it's still going to work out. And if it's an unanswered prayer, that doesn't mean he's not using that to groom you for what his real purpose is, because that's what we all should be praying for. I wake up every single day thank God for the health and everything that's happening in my kids' lives and my family's lives and my friends' lives, right? And then I always make sure I say, Lord, use my heart, my hands, my feet, and my spirit towards your purpose. Your purpose, not mine. Every day. So, all these bad things, and I mean, I gave you like really the Cliff Notes.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we used to have these things called Cliff Notes before internet.
Okay. All right.
Where if you needed to read a book, you could read the Cliff Notes. So it's the real short version, but the high points of it, right?
Right.
I gave you the Cliff Notes of my story, man. I've
Okay.
got stories on where I should have died, and I've been jumped and beaten with ball bats and should have been dead, man. And God has always been there, and the whole time all he wanted was to love me. He wanted a relationship.
Yeah. It's good testimony.
It's
And,
it's a hard one, but you know, there's if you can't be honest with yourself, then how are you supposed to grow, right?
Can't.
So
Well, I mean, we covered your childhood,
yeah,
covered from A to B, and man, it seems like you say you've got a talent for music. I think you've got two talents. Now that I've heard your testimony, we've had a few conversations. You've got a talent for music, and you've got a talent for giving thanks to God. Not everybody can just pray about it once, give it to God, and walk away from it like you seem to be able to. And I think that's
that's a groomed thing, man.
Yeah.
My father was a pastor, and me and him sit down every day at breakfast,
Yeah.
read the Word, we pray every day, and you're not going to get to know God unless you know what He says and what His promises are, and then even when all the things in the world stack up against you, stand on His Word, because those are promises,
Amen.
right? So above all else, stand on His Word and have faith, because the way I've been looking at things, literally in the last, since I turned my life over, it's been about a little over a year. Every situation's either a lesson or a blessing, and if it's a blessing, sometimes it's both. But if it's not a blessing, I'm looking for that lesson, because I don't want to learn it twice. I gotta learn it, or He's gonna make me do it again.
Y'all heard that, right? Some hard-earned wisdom, ain't it?
I mean, it's been. I'm a stubborn man, and He worked on me a long time. I'll be 47 next week.
Yep.
And I wish I knew the things at 20 years old that I do now. And it's not even knew the things, but looked at it, because perspective is completely a life changer. If you wake up every day and thank God for the air you breathe and just waking you up, then that's a start. If you focus on the bad, more bad happens. Always focus on the good, no matter the bad situation. And I'm telling you, just that perspective alone will change your life.
You said something earlier when you were in prison. God, if you want me here, you know, I'm misquoting you. I know. I just butchered that.
That's all right. Say, God, thank you for bringing me here. Because if He didn't take me to that prison and have to do that time, I wouldn't have turned my life over. That's where I had to be in order to be where I'm at now.
See, Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through
Christ who strengthens me.
Yes, sir. And I think what it's really talking about, just in my opinion, is verse number 11. Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content. Verse 12. I know how to be abased, I know how to be abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me.
Yes, sir. That's
Your
strong and
testimony,
powerful.
It reminds me of that scripture.
That's strong and powerful.
You've got a good testimony. You've got good things to say.
One thing I love the most, Jesus tells us to be more like Him, right? He wants us to live like Him, so be Christ-like. And think of that, what would Jesus do, the big thing back in the 90s?
Yep.
Literally, you got to look at all the situations with love, all right? He tells us to be compassionate, to give grace, to pray for our enemies, right?
Yeah.
Pray for those. And it's hard, those that hurt you and hurt you, right?
Yeah.
It's hard, but He tells us to pray for them. And all these things he tells us to do, compassion, grace, love, it's all wrapped up in love, because that's what Jesus is.
He's a big picture of it.
So above all else, love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
People need compassion. Sometimes people need grace. Nobody's perfect. There's not a single one of us. I mean, he said, what? You have no sin, cast the first stone. Literally, we all have sinned. And our sin, based on what he says, is no different. No different.
It's all spelled the same.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
You sit there and say, all right, well, we can be thankful when an alcoholic says, I've given up alcohol.
Yep.
We can be thankful when a womanizer gives up womanizing.
Yep.
You know, we can be thankful when, you know, say any of those sins, right? When somebody says, oh, well, I gave up pornography, everybody shuts up. And it's like, but that's a sin. And that's a hard one this day, right? And it's so easy to get to.
Yeah.
Sin is sin.
Yeah.
And we have to talk about it in order to get people better from it. So open your eyes and love each other, you know, and give it all to God every time. It's a lesson or a blessing, man.
Praise God for you, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've heard your full story testimony.
Well, thanks for having me, bro.
And no, thank you for coming. I know you did some traveling, and listen, guys, this man's got God on him. I believe every word when you say you wake up, you read every day, you pray every day.
Let's go, man.
Yes, all God. If you guys, I would strongly recommend booking this man. Do you teach Sunday school?
I don't teach Sunday school.
Okay.
My dad does, but
Okay.
I mean, this is the first time I've spoke ever.
Okay. He said over and over again, I'm a singer, not a speaker. So if you want to, I mean, I would disagree with him. I think he speaks well, but I mean, if you want to book him for singing or giving his testimony or both,
I mean,
is that cool?
I'm available to speak or play or do whatever. In God's glory, if I can touch one soul with my testimony, man, then all of it's been worth it. And it's been a rough one, but you know, look at me now, 47, and I wish that I had thought this way when I was young. If I'd have known how much God loved me and just wanted to love me,
Yeah.
my life would have been different, but I wouldn't have been groomed to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So you got to think of it that way. You know, sometimes we may not understand why God's doing what he's doing, but we're not supposed to.
No.
But I promise there's going to be a better end to it, as we have treasures in heaven. Here it doesn't matter.
No.
You know?
Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5.
Yeah.
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, lean not
To
unto
your own understanding.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
All right. Well, if it's cool with you, you have a moral support companion.
Yeah, man.
And
For sure, brother. I mean, anytime you can give me a call if you need anything, too.
Okay.
I mean that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on, man.